I won't hold my breath, and best of luck to them if one chooses to stand up. They are enjoying their lowest approval rating ever because this is who they are trying to represent. These far left activists who don't stand for anything. They only stand against Donald Trump, and they hate, as you just heard from that one individual who wished death upon the president of the United States. They not just hate him, they hate the nearly 80 million Americans who elected to vote him. The Democrats have officially become the party of crazy. President Trump and the Republicans are the party of common sense.
What happens if Joe Rogan intervenes with a verbal steel chair after Karoline Leavitt defeats The View in a courtroom knockout worth $800 million? The results are messier than Thanksgiving feast at a Hawaiian, as if daytime TV were thrown into a UFC cage. If you've ever wondered what happens when Rogan transforms gossip into gladiatorial conflict and sharp humor meets hard facts, get ready, this isn't just drama. It's poetic justice delivered with a dash of Rogan-style mayhem.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
yeah.
it is a rabies-infested.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th, when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC
seemed like 1,000 coffee mugs were smashed all at once throughout America when the verdict was announced. Karoline Leavitt not only defeated The View in court, but she completely destroyed them. This was not your typical Twitter ratio. Rather, it was the result of $800 million worth of careless, on-air behavior that crashed straight against the brick wall of accountability. Imagine a legal atomic bomb going off right in the middle of the gossip-filled nirvana that is daytime television.
Episode of you when you're on The View, when you were running for president, you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to. Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. And then you actually started winning in the polls. And then the machine started working towards you.
That red hat that says "Make America Great Again." Might as well just put a.
For years, The View's chattering panel viewed facts as something to toss around for fun, much like cats do with potted plants. Political analysis, please. Their everyday schedule was more theatrical for your morning caffeine spike and resembled passionate karaoke. Their unique perspectives, which frequently featured more drama than a Real Housewives reunion, drew millions of viewers.
I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View, because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of, like, there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome?
No.
The X. Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one.
They didn't just stumble this time, though. Clad in fireworks, they swerved right into a legal minefield. Here comes Karoline Leavitt, who has long been undervalued by the egotistical daytime swarm mind. She finally had enough of being the target of character assassination masquerading as entertainment. The truth wasn't just twisted in those View segments about her. It was thrown into a medieval torture rack and forced to plead for pity.
Culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions. whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right. And now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing. I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side. And if it's our side that's saying this, for sure it's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking.
Not only was this defamatory, but it was done with jazz hands, glitter, and a live studio audience applauding like seals. To their lovely evening, Karoline came a legal storm. The case was a tutorial in receipts, not just a trial. As it turns out, the Views team was avoiding the facts like middle schoolers in a dodgeball game, not just missing them. The courtroom spectacle consisted of 12 breathtaking moments of live reckoning, not 12 angry guys. The View's legal team appeared to have lost a few IQ points and aged 10 years by the time Karoline's attorneys were finished. What began as sardonic daytime commentary turned into a financial disaster that affected more than just ratings. Then the philosopher king of podcasting, Joe Rogan, arrived, beaming from ear to ear. Rogan not only made fun of The View while he watched the disaster develop, but he also meticulously dismantled them. In his studio, Rogan vividly described how The View was not a panel of thinkers but rather a group therapy session gone wrong, where terrible takes grew like mold in a damp basement. He laughed so much that he almost dropped his elk jerky.
The most important part. This was right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest fucking statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife out, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
the
believe
other
Joey
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And
I
then
don't
there's
know.
also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me
There-
that a middle-aged woman could be dumb. Is that
when
worse?
you're worried about losing your job and
Yeah.
you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news and we said Donald Trump was Hitler but half the country disagreed with us and he won and this is fucking great and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. It's just frantic.
Joe Rogan's response was vindication. So it wasn't shocking. He has already been the target of The View's indignation, and in his opinion, their journalistic credibility is on par with that of a drunk karaoke machine and a magic 8-ball. Joe therefore viewed the lawsuit's detonation as the restoration of karmic balance. Much like a nuclear bomb, through the radio, he essentially gave Karoline a symbolic award. Joe, however, didn't end with their problem of credibility. Oh no, he ripped right through the show's core. The echo chamber acclaim, the phony discussion, and the formulaic outrage were all exposed. According to Joe, their political conversations sounded like vindictive wine mums reading aloud from Wikipedia. Nevertheless, this had somehow been mistaken for political content. Not only did Karoline's victory reduce their manufacturing budget, but it also destroyed their self-confidence. The show, which was once renowned for delivering judgment along with a dash of self-congratulation, ended up being slow-roast in court documents and appearing online. Ever the cultural chef, Rogan transformed their demise into a smorgasbord of laughs, recounting The View's demise as if it were a guided tour through a museum of bad choices. Their hubris was in ruins as every careless hot take was analyzed with the accuracy of an MMA analyst.
Is that show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in. You know, and they always bring on a token conservative woman and they yell over her and silence her. And, you know, they did that with Meghan McCain and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. It's just, it's a bizarre show.
So we had 8 minutes, and America's approach to race, pretty big topic, pretty important topic.
I think the way
So-
before you start, I think the way you described it is brilliant and the way we should all look at it. Of course, you're going to see race.
Yes.
The idea of being colorblind is ridiculous, but
Right.
treat everybody. They're just human beings.
Nobody, not even The View, expected Karoline to deliver such a devastating blow. They undervalued her in the same way that they have undervalued complex truths and their own limitations. They mistook what they thought was an easy target for a litigation powder keg that was about to blow up. However, this was a cultural earthquake rather than only a personal victory. Daytime TV anchors have long enjoyed the delusion that unchallenged authority is synonymous with studio lights and pre-written outrage. Like a wine glass in a microwave, Karoline broke that illusion. The impact extended much beyond The View. Wait, how many times did we call someone a threat to democracy last year? Murmured legal teams throughout the business as they started to search through historical incidents. Every media law seminar now includes Karoline's case as Exhibit A. The internet, meanwhile, had a field day, with faux gavel sound effects, violin music, and headlines like she turned their views into pay-per-view. Memes of the View's worst moments went viral. The last touch was Joe Rogan's commentary, which was as hilarious as a Mortal Kombat death and included elements of roasting and retribution.
I think it's insulting that you are trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. You're asking me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe.
To hire a spokesperson just so that Elon Musk doesn't put out tweets that then confuse federal workers.
Are my press briefings not good enough for you, Jack?
Will Kor be in Kabik at the Bofich of you at Lelip, formerly strutting like monarchs of significance? The cast of The View suddenly saw their empire reduced to shameful press releases. The deafening hush following their loss was almost poetic for a show that relies heavily on constant talk, as word got out that legal advisors were reviewing each sentence before airing. Producers hurried. The lawyer might mutter, rephrase that, or it's another $1 million payout, when you're trying to provide a hot take. Karoline altered the game's regulations in addition to winning. She served as a reminder to everyone that smear campaigns, regardless of how well-planned they are, have repercussions. The quiet was the predictable consequence of conflating sass with content, not a rare accident. The View had functioned for years as if they were above the law because they were broadcasting to millions of people. As it happens, it DOESN, single quotes T.
People thinking, like, if you could stop Hitler by any means necessary, wouldn't you stop Hitler? And so they equate Donald Trump with Hitler and go, here you go, this is our modern Hitler. Do you see what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV,
crazy.
she said it's on.
Moved from supremacy throughout the day to complete damage control in a matter of days. In a heat wave, sponsors fell off more quickly than artificial eyelashes, because they didn't want to be associated with a show whose legal expenditures suddenly matched the price of a SpaceX launch. Once loyal advertisers abandoned it, even the viewers began to doubt the information, posing the inquiry, wait, they actually said that on live TV. Social media sprang to action. Twitter was flooded with memes and parodies, such as The View spinning a wheel of misfortune full of defamatory allegations and Karoline holding an Uno reverse card worth $800 million. Coming soon, The View, streaming exclusively on Court TV, was even a joke in one segment.
You know, if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And so it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly.
The memes comes a profound change. Karoline's win was a public reckoning as well as a PR catastrophe for The View. By drawing a line in the sand, she made it apparent that prominent platforms are no longer free to say whatever they want without facing repercussions. A crucial conversation regarding media accountability was sparked by this case. Shows can no longer pass off rumors as intelligent conversation. Ironically, platforms like Joe Rogan's, which are sometimes criticized for their lack of sophistication, are really doing a better job of encouraging sincere discussion. Remarks brought to light the stark contrast. They are allergic to contradiction, whereas he welcomes it, while The View descended into mayhem. Ultimately, this was about changing the media landscape, not just about one lawsuit. The industry was rocked by Karoline's victory. Viewers were left wondering, and daytime television was irrevocably altered.
That's true.
They get so much hate watching and
Yep.
hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a rabies infested hen house.
And at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows.
Crowd is beginning to understand. Nowadays, credibility is gained via openness, humility, and the capacity to own up to mistakes rather than through tenure or television real estate. Because they are not stupid, viewers are able to distinguish between shows that speak to them and those that talk to them. The industry is now aware of it as well, owing to Karoline's brilliant move. Rogan, joke has only just begun. Rogan saw this as a turning point in the case, dissecting its ramifications using his trademark combination of scathing logic, bro science, and scathing humor, a retribution for media deception. A focus on the disparate accountability requirements. A warning to all hosts who believe they are too snarky to face legal action. This is about the gradual demise of criticism that has no consequences. Not just about The View. Them's about a society that is tired of having its opinions spoon-fed to them by people who hardly ever think beyond their sound bites. Karoline Leavitt caused them to pause in addition to making them pay. And that's more innovative than any planned monologue in the frantic media circus of today.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in drag.
Checks have cleared, the dust has settled, and memes continue to be popular. They served as the warm-up act for The View's own legal roast, even if they believed they were speaking truth to power to the public. Karoline is a cultural reset, not just a plaintiff. Joe Rogan too. He continues to shake his head, laugh, and remind us all that if you base your entire business on gossip and conceit, it only takes one lawsuit to convert your platform into a warning. Let's call it justice, call it karma, call it the reckoning of daytime TV. Don't call it journalism, though, because we all know precisely how much The View is worth it. $100 million thanks to Karoline's legal victory. And all the final bit of it. A good deal.